big win in game number 1 with the Shutterwalk versus Zoo. But I think this is probably the deck in his lineup that I'm the most worried for, is the Hunter deck. Because even though Hunter has received more defensive options with the recent Boomsday release, it's still very vulnerable to fast strategies and still very vulnerable specifically, I think, to the Token Druid. They just don't have a way to deal with those wide board states. There's no Unleash the Hounds. Deathstalker Rexar is about it.
I feel like a lot of times the wide board state is, you're trying to handle it with taunt minions a lot.
Yeah, but even that can be sometimes hard because you can't guarantee Witchwood Grizzlies from any of your effects. And the way you cheat out Witchwood Grizzlies doesn't even come until later on in the game.
So what kind of effect is like,
Serena.
Sarnet Chaingang, Giggling Inventor help out with that?
Yeah, hunterace, that's one of the big things that he has going for him is that he's included more defensive options. But that can also halt his game plan because it's not that difficult for, say, a Token Druid to just get over a Serenite Chaingang.
Yeah, Token Druid oftentimes, they can play a bit of a slower game and not really worry about it. It's the explosive turns, really, that you're looking for.
Mossy Horror, though, is a pretty big tool.
And that is, that's another one that's in there, too. I just kind of glazed over that because we've been seeing it quite often in a lot of decks. That is a way to answer Spreading Plague or Whispering Woods. I think one of Sinto's big goals is to be able to buff one of those boards when he makes them. Being able to Spreading Plague and then increase the attack, beyond the Mossy Harbor point is a very big facet of landing a lethal blow.
Yeah. And as we just kind of go through the motions here at the beginning of this game, I do want to talk about the implications of hunterace qualifying for the World Championship not on points.
Oh, right.
Because hunterace is currently the points leader by quite a bit. And the top pointer from each region gets that automatic seed into the World Championship. If he, say, qualifies for the Fall Championship here at the playoffs, and then qualifies for the World Championship via that seasonal championship, that opens up the race for so many other European players to get that last call spot.
So what you're telling me is there's a lot more people rooting for hunterace to win this now.
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's very unlikely that hunterace gets dethroned as the points leader. He had another top 10 finish this month. Finished number 7, I believe. So he is not stopping anytime soon.
This is
with
like
the grind.
This is like Tom at last year's Summer Championship.
Everybody's rooting for him.
Everybody was rooting for him.
Everybody in Asia
except
Pacific,
Purple.
Yeah. But I mean, just something to think about as we get further and further into this top 8. And as hunterace looks like he's in a pretty good position.
Yeah, this is how desperate you are for pressure in this matchup. If this doesn't really give you enough of a clue, just go ahead and coin out a 3-5 and hope that you can start delivering something to either fight for board or to chip away life total. Sinto doesn't have too many defensive tools in the deck. Your offense is basically your defense. You want to keep pressure on your opponent so that they don't have time to attack you. If hunterace is able to get out to a substantial lead with a deck that frankly is pretty unequipped to do that properly, I think that's a really big thing for Sinto to look at. How does he start to disrupt that game plan and do anything meaningful?
Well, that coin being used opens up the opportunity for Sinto to play this because it's right before the Mossy Horror Deathstalker Rexar turn. So hunterace takes the risk and says, you know what? Turn 5 is the natural turn for Nourish. So I'm going to try and take advantage of that. You're probably not going to develop a board for a few more turns because Spreading Plague is a turn off.
Yeah.
Whispering Woods is 1 mana off curve. And so hunterace took the risk and it didn't pay off. So now Sinto,
well, I don't know if it didn't pay off. You make a good couple points here is that Sinto recognizes hunterace is, clearly trying to take advantage of the Nourish turn. And so he deviates to the Whispering Woods. And puts hunterace in a spot where he's got to fight, and I think the Giggling Inventor was a big reason why he went for this play, is he has some amount of defense against this. But, this does stop the pressure that Sinto would be facing against this now. Every single one of these 1/1s represents something that, very likely needs to be attacked, and Swipe is picked up. So maybe, Sinto even gets some use out of this board before it, kicks the bucket to Rexar or to Mossy Harbor in this situation. Yeah. It's a really weird game so far.
What to do?
There's a couple other options. Swipe, like Power the Wild, was the one that stood out to me first, but he could make some really weird trades. 3 of these Wisps into the Witchwood Grizzly, 2 into the Anoiltron Divine Shields, and then Spreading Plague for 5. That gets heavily punished by Mossy Horror.
Well, I'm actually wondering if Syntolaw has an opportunity to nourish here and rely on Spreading Plague to maybe pick something back up. Because if your opponent plays Mossy Harbor, it's not a lot of pressure. It just kills your 1/1s, right? You get a 4/4 out of this with the Arcane Tyrant. If your opponent plays Rexar, they're not really adding pressure to the board. I think he's got some opportunities here to, you know, play a middle ground between offense and defense with Spreading Plague in the mix here.
Yeah, I don't think he's even going to play Arcane Tyrant because he wants to couple that with Spreading Plague to make sure that if Mossy Horror does come down, he has some backup.
The first person I saw do this was Tom60229 at Worlds versus Surrender. TJ and I whipped our heads at each other like, why on earth did he not play that Arcane Tyrant? And it was because he was saving it for a Spreading Plague turn.
Yeah, because it just hides it behind. If he plays it here, it just gets eaten up by Terrascale Stalker, Play Dead.
Yeah. Now, I don't think
any of the minions on board.
I want to clarify, I don't think Tom was the first person to ever intentionally do that.
No, he was at that tournament.
It's just the first one I saw.
To play a 5+ mana spell and not play Arcane Tyrant. Literally the first.
TJ's got the hard data on that.
I mean, Play Dead just seems like the best option here. But Candle Shot does have value in that it can get 1 more minion off the board in a weird situation. Flanking Strike really doesn't have too many uses. It's too expensive to like be used to take off 1 token from the board.
Most of hunterace's hand right now doesn't really have too many uses. I think that's really like the thing that I'm looking at. It's a very slow hand, and that's the one thing that Token Druid loves to see is decks that have slow hands and that aren't pressuring you in that same vein. Now, if Syntolaw buffs this board here, this is really where that sad point comes in. The reason he's buffing is because he's making hand space for Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah.
But this is, you know, really not a happy turn for Syntolaw, I'd say. And hunterace's just going to wait. He says, you know what, why would I use the Mossy Harbor here when I can just fight the board anyway? You just fight it honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he can take off a trade plus 2 Death Rattle.
Wait, that gets a double Death Rattle of Kill a Minion now. So that's 2 Kill a Minions that gets from the Death Rattle activation.
Plus the Play Dead, which clears off
Holy
2
smokes, that is really... I never even thought about that.
And he can actually trade into one of these and guarantee a full board clear while still holding on to his minions and not have to play Mossy Horror to save it for a big board later on with Whispering Woods or Soul of the Forest.
And having
Spreading Plague.
And having this 4/1 in play does a lot of work versus Spreading Plague. It makes it to where that card is going to kill the 5/5 from Spreading Plague. Like, that is... I've never thought about that. That's insane.
And now he's still got all of his resources to deal with wide board state still. I feel like almost every player would just snap call Mossy Horror in that situation.
And
even though it clears your own board and just push. Well, you wouldn't really push. You just have a 2/7 left in play with an empty board on your opponent's side.
I mean, you give it, you know.
But that is a really creative way to make sure that the board is cleared off. Plus, he holds onto his board and makes it awkward for Sinto.
Yeah, Sinto's, he cannot Ultimate Infestation in this spot. And that is really like the bad news bear situation for Syntolaw is you pretty much set this up to rip Ultimate Infestation every time.
But if you just swipe here and Hero Power or swipe Giggling Inventor, that gives hunterace free development on the turn 8, which is one of the most powerful turns for Hunter because they have Katharina, they have any of their big beasts if they've drawn them and not have Katharina.
If you Ultimate Infestation there, you're going to burn a card and your opponent gets to kill your thing. Like, just easily kill it.
Yeah, I mean, both plays seem
quite unsatisfying.
Yeah. At least Ultimate Infestation, you gain 5 armor and draw 5 cards.
You needed to create a swing turn, though. You know, Ultimate Infestation, the times that I struggle when I've cast this card, believe it or not, that happens, are when it doesn't create some sort of swing in the board state. And so here, it's not creating a major swing in the board state, but it's still doing something. It's taking out the front half of the Savannah High main.
Yeah.
And that I think is at least still, you know, quite significant.
hunterace holds on to these attacks because he realizes that his next turn play will probably involve Deathstalker Rexar and Mossy Horror.
Yeah, this is quite a minor min-max play.
Yeah. So he says, I don't want to, you know, give up the additional damage to my face.
Whoa.
In order to make sure that I clear off a Divine Shield.
Whoa. This is actually, I think, quite brilliant from Sinto here to go face with it, because it's isolating the Savannah High Main now to simply one attack. If he hits the Savannah High Main, both the Noyatrons get taken out by it.
And Sintal's not really worried about taking damage.
Oh no, that is not something a hunterace's deck, you know, delivers in mass amounts. This isn't like a typical kill command.
It eventually reaches a critical mass where you just have 7 King Crushes on the board.
You see it coming.
Yeah, but yeah, you usually see it coming.
Yeah, you know
when they cube their King Crush, you know something's gonna happen.
You remember in Jurassic Park when the lawyers runs away from the kids in the truck and Jeff Goldblum leads the T-Rex over to where the lawyer is and he gets eaten by the T-Rex? Like, by the time hunterace's deck gets to that point, like, you're the lawyer in the bathroom and the T-Rex is coming. You know it's coming and you know it's gonna happen.
Is that the one with Vin Diesel?
Yeah, with Vin Diesel. He was the programmer for the security side of Jurassic Park.
Love that movie. I love when they race the cars. Hunterace debating between Deathstalker Rexar and Mossy Horror.
I'm quite surprised that this was not a Deathstalker Rexar position. I guess it's because he has King Crush in hand, and so the damage is, you know, significant.
I mean, he does get extra development here and still gets to hold on to his hero power to maybe min-max that damage later on, but...
Oh boy.
Here comes the Whispering Wood Soul of the Forest.
Yeah, that's probably gonna take care of this.
So how many can Hunterace clear off? He can make 3 attacks.
He gets to clear off 3 of these.
So there will be 4 2/2s left on the board.
With double Savage or Branching Paths.
With double Savage or Branching Paths.
AKA very dead.
AKA lethal damage.
Yeah.
I mean, Deathstalker Rexar wouldn't have changed anything, right? If he had played these in the opposite order. He would have 1 less attack.
It would potentially offer him the ability to get something from Deathstalker Rexar.
But I don't think there would be a single beast from Deathstalker Rexar that would help him clear this.
Like a Cave Hydra heal? Or like a Bloat Bat that can explode? Like a charging Bloat Bat?
Yeah, but the charging, it would be the same as playing Mossy Horror in that situation, right? Because you'd only get the 1...
Oh, it's going to be 5 mana,
yeah,
at least, yeah.
You'd have 1 less attack, but 1 extra attack with the Bloat Bat, and Mossy Horror would serve the same purpose, so... I don't think it mattered which order you played these in. But that is roughly 8 damage plus about 1 million.
It's about 34 damage, I think. I know I've done this before, but I've only done it once.
No, it's 28 plus 8, 36.
How's it plus?
28 plus, yeah.
Let's go to 8, 32 plus 4, right?
No, yeah. It's a lot.
8?
Roughly 1 million.
16, 24, 32, and then 4 from base, 36.
Yeah, 38.
Tied series. Yeah, that's what you said. Sintalol answering back. That's more how he envisioned these games going. He's got a lot of favorable matchups across the board. In that first game, he's a bit frustrated. He got checked at every single step of the way in that Zoo versus Shutterwalk matchup.
Yeah.
That's not the way he sees these going.